was avoiding the root, and in doing so, abandoning myself all over again, just as I had been abandoned by the adults in my life many years ago. The truth is, the things we neglect don't disappear. They grow into parasitic manifestations of our hurt that feed on our light. If we don't allow ourselves to feel, then no matter how much we know, we'll keep making the same self-sabotaging choices. Healing isn't about evolving past the parts of ourselves that feel broken. It's about evolving with them and choosing to love them into wholeness. This is Watering Our Roots, a content series about care. I've been sober for almost 3 years now, and every few months I still have a dream where I consume an overwhelming amount of alcohol. Enough to black out, enough to do things I never do in my waking life, enough to wake up with the same shame I felt throughout my 20s after every binge. Recently, after awakening from one of those dreams, I turned to my partner, meekly expressing the details of what had happened. He looked at me with a calm disposition and said, "Did you tell her thank you?" In that moment, everything shifted. This wasn't relapse, it was reunion. My subconscious wasn't trying to punish me. It was shining a light on my shadow and on the little girl who lived there, crying out for acknowledgement. For so long, I believed I had done the work because I understood my trauma. I could explain it, name it, identify its source. I had an intellectual grasp on my pain, but understanding and integrating aren't the same. I was avoiding the root, and in doing
Shadow healing, also known as shadow work, is a therapeutic process focused on exploring and integrating the shadow self, those aspects of ourselves we tend to suppress or deny, including negative emotions, past traumas, and unconscious patterns. The goal is to bring these hidden parts into conscious awareness, understand them, and ultimately integrate them into a more complete and authentic self image. Here's a breakdown of key aspects of shadow healing. What is the shadow self? 1. The shadow self encompasses all the parts of ourselves that we reject, hide, or are ashamed of. 2. It's not inherently negative, but rather a collection of unacknowledged or unprocessed aspects of our personality. And 3. Examples include negative emotions like anger, sadness, or fear, as well as past traumas, unmet needs, and unconscious patterns. What is shadow work? 1. Shadow work involves bringing these unconscious or suppressed aspects of ourselves into conscious awareness. 2. It's a journey of self-discovery that requires self-reflection, honesty, and compassion. 3. The process helps us understand the root causes of our behaviors, emotions, and reactions. And 4. By acknowledging and accepting our shadow aspects, we can begin to heal and integrate them, leading to greater self-awareness and emotional well-being. Benefits of shadow work. 1. Increased self-awareness. Understanding your shadow self helps you become more conscious of your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. 2. Emotional healing. By addressing past traumas and unmet needs, shadow work can help you heal from emotional wounds. 3. Improved relationships. Understanding your own shadow can lead to more compassionate and understanding relationships with others. 4. Reduced anxiety and stress. As you integrate your shadow, you may experience a decrease in anxiety and stress related to suppressed emotions. 5. Greater self-acceptance and self-compassion. Shadow work helps you accept all parts of yourself, leading to a more compassionate and loving relationship with yourself. And 6. Enhanced personal growth. By confronting and integrating your shadow, you can experience significant personal growth and transformation. How to do shadow work. 1. Self-reflection and journaling. Reflect on your reactions, emotions, and behaviors, especially those that trigger negative or uncomfortable feelings. 2. Meditation. Practice mindfulness and observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. 3. Identify triggers. Notice situations, people, or events that elicit strong emotional reactions. 4. Seek professional guidance. Consider working with a therapist or counselor specializing in shadow work, especially if you have experienced significant trauma. And 5. Inner child work. Explore and heal wounds from childhood that may be contributing to your shadow. In essence, shadow healing is a powerful journey of self-discovery that can lead to profound personal growth and healing. By embracing and integrating the shadow self, individuals can move towards greater self-awareness, emotional well-being, and a more authentic sense of self. This video explains shadow work and its benefits for self-discovery.
There or a trash can, those things don't go away by shoving that trash down if it's getting full. It just pushes it down deeper, and it still affects it. In this video, we're diving deep into one of the most important aspects that you have, your shadow. It's the most dramatic shadow effect I can get. Maybe that. Most people think that there's 3 parts of you: the mind, the body, and the spirit. But if you really think about it, why don't most people get the changes that they want? People focus on their mindset. You watch videos like this, you read books, you meditate. People focus on their body. You follow health and wellness. You go to the gym.
This is what shadow work really is and how to do it. Shadow work is about what you are resisting and seeing in yourself, others, and the world. Shadow work means diving deep into identifying what is at the core of your behaviors, your habits, and your patterns. Then you figure out why you keep playing it out and what your role in it actually is. Here are 3 easy ways to start doing shadow work. 1, identify your triggers and figure out why they affect you so much. 2, explore patterns that you claim that you dislike and find the hidden benefit underneath them. 3, notice your judgments and who you judge and find out how you are actually just like them. If you're wanting to know the I have so much healing to do. Wait, if I'm not the mind or the body, then there's nothing to heal. Man, I thought I healed this. Why is it coming back up? Oh, I forgot. I'm not the mind or the body. So if what I focus on expands, of course, the more things I try to heal, the more things I'll find to heal. When did I get so serious? Let me go have some fun. I have so much healing to do. Your shadow self is the unconscious or disowned part of you that remains in the dark because you don't want to confront or see it. And although the shadow seems pretty hidden, it can actually wreak havoc in your life because it can show up when you least expect it. Have you ever encountered someone who's sweet and gentle in one moment and then suddenly they turn into a crazy person right before your eyes? This happens because their shadow is big and it takes over when the person is triggered. But if the shadow self is hidden, how do you spot it in yourself before it causes harm? You pay attention to your emotional triggers because your shadow self is very emotional. For example, let's say an aspect of your shadow is a feeling of unworthiness, but you don't really acknowledge it and you go around thinking that you really love yourself. Then one day you get into a relationship and every time your partner talks to an attractive person, you explode with jealousy. If you catch the jealous feeling in time before you act on it, you'll clearly see that the jealousy is coming from the shadow part of you that feels unworthy and is afraid of everyone leaving you. Your shadow I'm about to ask you some tough questions. I asked him, I don't want you pausing to answer. I want you to watch until the very end. Pausing will prevent you from feeling the questions you're most drawn to when asked. If I ask a question where there feels like a strong tug or a pull or it elicits an emotion, write those ones down on your second time watching. Reflect on them and then later answer it for yourself. You have to dig deep. Number 1, what are the things you do to numb yourself to avoid facing your trauma? Number 2, what is something you've done that you still have not forgiven yourself for and why? Number 3, as a child, what is something you wish your parents would have said to you more and what is something you wish they would have done less? Number 4, if someone was talking behind your back, what is the thing they could say that would hurt your feelings the most and why? Number 5, if you were to get an apology from that person, you want the apology because you actually want to hear those words from them or because you feel like your validation is tied up into what they think and why? Number 6, what is the thing about your life right now that the younger you would be the most surprised by? And would they be proud of the life you have now or disappointed? Number 7, what is a promise to yourself that you keep continuing to break and why haven't you stopped? The shadow work, and this is how you heal. If you'd like me to make more videos like this, let me know.
And significant personal growth. The idea of the shadow comes from Carl Jung, a famous Swiss psychiatrist. He understood that inside each person there is a mix of both light and dark elements. Our shadow includes everything we consider unacceptable, shameful, or unworthy. The parts of ourselves that we have learned to hide from others, and sometimes even from ourselves. The hidden parts of our mind don't just go away. They have a strong impact on how we think, act, and connect with others, often in ways we may not realize. Shadow work encourages us to explore these hidden parts of ourselves, recognizing and accepting all aspects of who we are. It's about getting back the parts of ourselves that we've lost and accepting our complete selves, with all the messiness and beauty that comes with it. This work isn't about getting rid of our shadow, as it is a key part of our identity. Instead, it's about becoming aware of it, understanding where it comes from, and finding ways to use its energy positively and constructively. Shadow work can change your life by helping you break free from the hidden patterns and limits you place on yourself that keep you from moving forward. As we start to explore our minds, we find a source of hidden potential, creativity, and personal strength. The parts of ourselves that we have often pushed away or been afraid of can actually lead us to our biggest strengths and deepest understandings. Think about the energy we use to keep our shadow away, the ongoing watchfulness needed to uphold our carefully built image, the tiring work of denying or hiding parts of ourselves. Shadow work provides an alternative way, focusing on acceptance and bringing things together. When we accept who we truly are, we unlock a lot of energy and liveliness. We enter a state of flow, where life feels easier and becomes a true reflection of who we are. This inner work affects all parts of our lives. We strengthen our relationships by being more genuine and open with each other. We thrive in our creative efforts as we explore the deep, uncharted areas of our mind. We understand our purpose better when we connect with our true desires and values, instead of following what others or society expects from us. Lesson 1. Getting to know the shadow, the aspects of yourself that you overlook. Everyone has a shadow side, which is a part of us that we hide from others and sometimes even from ourselves. This shadow includes parts of our personality that we consider unacceptable, shameful, or unworthy. It's the mix of traits, desires, and urges that we've learned to hold back, either because of society's influence or our own experiences. The idea of the shadow was first brought up by Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. He thought that the shadow is an important part of our mind. It's not bad. Instead, it's a place for our biggest fears and our greatest possibilities. The shadow contains the keys to our hidden creativity, passion, and strength. Why do we overlook these aspects of ourselves? As children, we start to adjust to our surroundings and blend in with our families and the community. We learn what is okay and what isn't, which actions get praise and which ones face consequences. During socialization, we start to suppress parts of our personality that don't match these expectations. Imagine a child who is full of energy and very vocal. If they are often told to be quiet and not to express themselves so openly, they may begin to link their natural excitement with feelings of shame or disapproval. As time goes on, that lively energy becomes part of their shadow, tucked away but still affecting their actions and feelings in small ways. The shadow also includes more than just negative traits. We push aside positive qualities when we think we don't deserve them, or when they clash with how we see ourselves. A person who thinks they are weak may ignore their inner strength and find it hard to recognize or use it completely. Not paying attention to our shadow has consequences. When we ignore parts of ourselves, we use a lot of energy to keep them hidden. This ongoing internal conflict takes away our energy, making it harder for us to grow, be creative, and express ourselves truly. It's similar to keeping a beach ball submerged in water. It takes ongoing effort, and the ball will always want to float back up. The parts of ourselves that we overlook don't just go away. They show up in our lives, often in harmful or unhelpful ways. When anger is held back, it can show up as passive, aggressive actions. Not being able to express creativity can make someone feel unfulfilled and restless. Knowing our shadow is important because it is essential for our completeness. When we start to recognize and include these overlooked parts of ourselves, we access a source of energy and potential. It's like letting a beach ball rise to the surface. Suddenly, we have all this energy that was once used to keep it underwater. Understanding our shadow can be a bit uncomfortable at times. We need to examine parts of ourselves that we have overlooked or refused to acknowledge for a long time. It involves facing our fears, insecurities, and the parts of ourselves that we don't like. This discomfort can lead to important personal growth and better self-awareness. When we begin to look at our shadow, we may find that some traits we've ignored are really strengths hidden beneath the surface. The sensitivity we have tried to conceal could be the reason for strong empathy and intuition. The anger we've held back can help us be more assertive and set boundaries. Knowing our shadow helps us be kinder to ourselves and to others. When we see that everyone has a darker side, we start to judge less and accept more. The traits we find annoying in others often mirror the parts of ourselves that we don't accept. The law of attraction shows us that we draw in what we are rather than what we desire. Ignoring parts of ourselves leads to inner conflict and disharmony, which shows up in our outside world. When we understand and accept our shadow, we bring our inner and outer worlds into harmony. This helps us attract experiences that match our true, complete self. This integration process is not about giving in to every urge or expressing our hidden sides. It's about recognizing these parts of ourselves, knowing where they come from and why they exist, and discovering positive ways to express and direct their energy. As we start this journey of shadow work, it's essential to approach it with an open mind and kindness. Our shadow was created to keep us safe and help us adjust to our surroundings. Some of these adaptations might not help us anymore, but they were created to keep us safe. Lesson 2. Why overlooking your shadow hinders success. In our quest for success and happiness, we frequently seek out external accomplishments, material things, and the validation of others. We show the best parts of ourselves to others, while trying to hide the qualities we think are not so great. This is where we meet the shadow, the parts of ourselves that we've hidden away, thinking they will go away if we just ignore them for a while. But the reality is that many of us find it hard to accept. Just ignoring your shadow won't make it disappear. Instead, it turns into a strong obstacle that hinders your efforts and prevents you from achieving real success and satisfaction. The shadow isn't a mysterious idea. It's an essential aspect of human psychology that Carl Jung studied in detail. It shows parts of ourselves that we've pushed away, hidden, or ignored, usually because they don't match how we want to see ourselves or what society expects. Imagine your shadow as a playful child, always looking for some attention. The harder you try to overlook it, the more noticeable and bothersome it gets. It shows up in surprising ways, like self-sabotage, sudden mood changes, or a lingering sense of emptiness even after reaching your goals. Your shadow has a lot of power, and if you ignore it, you're letting that power work against you instead of helping you. Think about this. Have you ever been close to achieving something great, only to accidentally ruin it right at the end? Maybe you've reached a goal you've wanted for a long time, but now you feel oddly unsatisfied or even more anxious than you did before? These are common signs of your shadow being active. Ignoring our shadow leads to an internal struggle that takes away our energy and distracts us from what we truly want and can achieve. The law of attraction shows us that we draw in what we pay attention to, and it's not only about our conscious thoughts and intentions. The subconscious mind, where the shadow exists, is important in shaping our reality. If you have fears, insecurities, or negative beliefs that you don't recognize, you might attract situations that highlight these hidden parts of yourself. It's like trying to sail a boat with an anchor pulling you back. No matter how hard you row, you won't get to where you want to go. Also, not acknowledging your shadow can make you seem inauthentic, and others might pick up on that feeling, even if they can't explain it. Not being genuine can hurt your relationships, whether they are personal or work-related. People are attracted to those who are real and know themselves well, accepting every part of who they are. When you always try to hide parts of yourself, you build a wall that stops you from forming deep, meaningful connections. These connections are essential for real success and happiness. Your shadow reveals your greatest strengths and unique gifts. The traits we dislike in ourselves can actually be strong advantages when we understand and accept them. If a person holds back their anger, they might be missing out on the passion and confidence required to stand up for themselves and others. When you ignore your shadow, you miss out on a source of potential and creativity. Success is not only about reaching outside goals. It's about becoming complete and bringing together all parts of yourself into a true and unified self. Ignoring your shadow means you are turning away from a part of yourself. This can lead to inner conflict and problems in your life. Self-rejection is a way of holding yourself back. It's a hidden message that suggests you don't deserve success or happiness. To reach your full potential and find lasting success, you need to be ready to explore the deeper parts of yourself. This does not mean engaging in bad behaviors or accepting harmful qualities. It's about recognizing these aspects, knowing where they come from, and discovering healthy ways to express or change them. Your shadow is not your enemy. It's a part of you that needs to be understood and accepted, not pushed away. Facing and accepting your shadow can be tough. You need bravery, truthfulness, and the readiness to face difficult realities about yourself. The benefits are countless. When you start to recognize and engage with your shadow, you'll discover a feeling of inner calm and true self that nothing outside of you can give. You will discover new sources of creativity and strength within yourself. Your relationships will grow stronger as you become more authentic and aware of yourself. As you bring your shadow into harmony, you'll notice that the law of attraction starts to work more effectively for you. Your energy will be focused and unified. Your whole self will be in harmony, clearly showing the universe what you really want. You will naturally draw in opportunities and relationships that match who you truly are. Success is not a final stop. It's an ongoing process of growth and learning about yourself. When you recognize and engage with your shadow, you're not only clearing obstacles to success, you're reshaping your own definition of success. You are shifting away from seeking approval from others and focusing on material success. Instead, you are finding a more meaningful sense of achievement based on understanding yourself, being true to who you are, and growing personally. When you feel stuck, frustrated, or like nothing is going right despite your hard work, take a moment to look within yourself. What aspects of yourself have you been overlooking or pushing away? What worries or doubts are hiding in the background, holding you back from success? When you explore these hidden parts of yourself, you start the process of shadow work. This journey can lead to success and a more genuine way of living in the world. Accept your shadow as it contains the secrets to your highest potential. In the interplay of light and shadow, you will discover your true strength, opening up paths to success that you didn't even realize were there. The journey might be tough at times, but it brings great rewards. Your shadow is not against you. It's the part that helps make you whole, ready to finish the picture that is you. Lesson 3. Confronting your biggest fears and doubts. Doing shadow work takes us to face our biggest fears and insecurities. It's a journey that takes bravery, as it asks us to explore the hidden parts of our mind, where we have tucked away feelings or memories that are too painful or shameful to face. By confronting these aspects, we discover our best opportunities for growth and change. Fear is a normal feeling that humans experience, and it has helped us survive and adapt over time. It has protected us from physical threats and helped us avoid possible dangers. In today's world, many of our fears are not connected to immediate physical dangers anymore. Instead, they have turned into mental blocks that prevent us from living our lives to the fullest and being true to ourselves. These fears often show up as insecurities, strong doubts about our value, skills, or role in life. They speak to us when we feel weak, suggesting that we aren't good enough, smart enough, or deserving enough. They hold us back, stopping us from taking chances, chasing our dreams, or connecting with others. What if these fears and insecurities were actually trying to tell us something important? What if they were trying to reveal the parts of us that need healing and coming together? This is the viewpoint that shadow work encourages us to take on. When we start to confront our fears and insecurities, we often discover that they come from past experiences or beliefs we've taken in. Maybe we faced tough criticism as kids, and now we worry about failing. We might have faced rejection, making it hard for us to build close relationships. We may have learned that some feelings or characteristics are not okay, which can cause us to hide those parts of ourselves. The first step in dealing with these fears is to recognize them without being critical. This needs you to be aware of yourself and honest, which might feel a bit uneasy at the beginning. We need to be open to examining ourselves honestly, recognizing both our strengths and our weaknesses. This means not focusing on our flaws or shortcomings, but instead looking at them with curiosity and kindness. When we face our fears and insecurities, we start to understand them better. They are not fixed truths about who we are, but rather stories we've created in our minds. Just like any story, they can be changed. This is how the law of attraction works. What we think and believe influences our reality, bringing us experiences that match our expectations. If we think we don't deserve love, we might unknowingly drive away chances to connect with others. If we believe we can't succeed, we'll undermine our attempts before we even start. By confronting our fears and insecurities directly, we can start to alter these deep-seated beliefs. We can decide to view ourselves as valuable, able, and deserving of all the good things life brings. Changing how you see things takes time. It's a journey that needs patience and determination. Each small step we take to face our fears.
Here's my proven method for how to do shadow work. Just for reference, I'm a licensed psychotherapist and a master shadow worker, and I'm currently writing a book that's going to be released in November on shadow work. First, you have to recognize that the shadow is the unconscious mind. It's all the stuff that's been hidden and buried down and repressed. And so when we're doing shadow work, what we want to do is we want to access those hidden memories. So when you're working with a shadow worker, what you're going to do is you're going to meditate until you get to a brainwave state called theta. When you access that theta brainwave state, your memories will be able to be accessed, even the ones that have been really hidden away. What we want to do once we're there is change how it feels in your body to re-experience those moments, because that will change your thoughts, it'll change your behaviors, it'll change your neural pathways, it'll change your life. Everything that's stuck within the shadow is really heavy and really triggering for you, so it's definitely best to work with someone who knows their stuff when you're doing it, so that you are safe and you are held and you can get rid of that shadow for good.
I just get mad at myself when I seek acceptance from other people.
What's missing in you?
Me?
Why are you so empty?
See, my brain went, I'm not empty.
I know. So ask that to you. Be like, every part of me, why am I empty? And see if one part shoots up some answer. And it doesn't have to logically make sense. It's valuable. Why are you so empty? Why is there this void within you? This state of introspection is not something you want to rush. So most people at home will do is like, why am I empty? Yeah, I don't know. That's why I don't know is the worst thing. Don't say I don't know. Don't say I'm not. Just wait and see. You're like, why am I empty? But it's this type of what's actually running me deep down inside that will change your life.
Here's a shadow work technique that completely changed my life. It's literally like a month of therapy with one exercise. Step number 1, identify it. You're going to think of something that's holding you back. These could be about an ex, these could be about your childhood, these could be about getting fired from a job. Step number 2, invite it. Picture that old version of you struggling with that and invite it in to have a conversation. Step number 3, talk to it. You're going to engage in a dialogue with that old past version of you struggling with that thing. You might ask some questions. Why are you doing this? Why do you believe this? Step number 4 is to acknowledge it. You're literally just listening empathetically to that part of you vent. Step number 5, this is the most important part, is you're going to integrate it. Give that past self everything it didn't get but needed in that moment. Support, encouragement, positive reframe, different way of looking at it. Try that exercise and give the old version of yourself all the resources that you have in this current version.
Say I'm your dad, your real dad. What would you tell me now? Here in front of you. I left you, never even thought about you one day. No questions, nothing you want to ask me. Why did I leave you, never come back for you? Why was it your fault that I left? Bring it. Anything I said here, all that I simply was a mirror to what perhaps parts of you think. You're saying, I have trouble feeling, trouble connecting. Part of feeling means going back through that and experiencing that. But you did, you had the willingness to. This is the direction you must go in. It's not pleasant, but that's the way out. Say I'm your dad. Helps us grow our confidence and strength. A strong way to deal with fears and insecurities is to talk to them. Think of your fear as if it were a different being and talk to it. Inquire about its purpose and what it aims to shield you from. Hear what it has to say without judging. Your fears are often rooted in old information or misunderstandings about yourself and the world around you. One way to handle your fears is to slowly introduce yourself to what makes you anxious.
This is how you actually do shadow work. The path to evolution is the path of healing achieved through shadow work. If you don't know what shadow work is, it is the practice of healing by shedding light on your shadow, the parts of yourself that you don't love and have repressed due to trauma. And this is how to do shadow work and shed the layers holding you back. Hi, I'm Ira. I help you align with your best self through the metaphysical. And for spiritual training, come in Circle 77. Time and space are human constructs that don't actually exist. Trauma experienced in the first 7 years of your life create a negative distortion in your conscious timeline. And energetically, this distortion keeps bringing you back to that traumatic moment since past, present, and future all happening simultaneously. This means that you will keep repeating old patterns caused by your shadow if you don't go address and heal this trauma. And the first 7 years of your life create the subconscious mind, which creates your reality. And we can go back in time, not physically, but with our consciousness and vibration. My memory regression method uses your negative emotions to reach the core memory and reprogram the subconscious mind. Going back.
Here's the thing about the shadow. It's the hidden part of you that believes that until things are a certain way, or until you become a certain person, you are not good enough and you can't be happy. Its whole game is to convince you that right now something is wrong and that right now you are incomplete. And if you are unaware of this, it sends you into a spiral or a cycle that gets you to try to obtain things that are out there. But here's the thing. There's always going to be something else out there that we don't have yet. There's always going to be something else to create. There's always going to be something next. So every time you let your shadow run the show, you will be disappointed. But when you allow your higher self to run the show, you are content with what is while being eager, ready, and excited for more.
When we talk about the human shadow, we're talking about what is unconscious. So shadow work is any process, any technique that helps the subconscious become conscious. This is difficult, right? Because that could literally be parts work. That could be a process like I created for soul retrieval, which is completion process. That could be tarot. That could be inner child work. That could be meditations. That could be shamanic journey. That could be left-hand writing exercises, somatic experiencing exercises, stream of consciousness exercises. There's so many things that fall into that category of making the subconscious conscious. Inner child work is just one form of shadow work, and it sits on this premise that every person within themselves has this child self that they are not conscious of because they've suppressed, denied, disowned, and rejected it. And with that, they have separated themselves away from a lot of their vulnerabilities and therefore a lot of their needs, and also a lot of their strengths that would go along with that child self. And it is only through the re-owning or the awareness of that inner child self that you can have access to both of those things.
Shadow work is definitely everything that you said, and moving into it on a deeper level, it is the reprogramming and the rechanging of the mind. And it is both spiritual and scientific. One of the biggest ways to do that is by reshaping memories. So one thing that I recommend is to meditate. And this can be intentional going into meditation. I'm thinking about this specific time, this specific moment. Or if there is ever a moment in which you are triggered, to take a moment, to sit down, to sit with self, ask, okay, where is this coming from? When was this, what is this reminding me of? When was the moment that I felt or experienced this for the first time or just before? When did I see this? What was this experience? Let me go back to it. Which is why I asked about the recollection of these moments, of these things, of witnessing and experiencing that unreciprocated love.
If you're nervous about speaking in front of others, begin by sharing your thoughts in smaller groups. If you're worried about being rejected, try to put yourself in low-pressure situations. As you go through different experiences, you'll notice that your fears become less powerful. Confronting your fears doesn't mean you won't feel scared anymore. fear is a normal part of life, and it can sometimes help us find our way. The aim is not to get rid of fear completely, but to build a better connection with it. View it as information instead of a command, seeing it as a chance to grow rather than a reason to pull back. When you confront your fears and insecurities, you might notice that they are linked to other parts of your hidden self. Your fear of failure might come from thinking you don't deserve to succeed. Your feelings of insecurity in relationships could be linked to unresolved anger or resentment. Shadow work is a holistic process because when you focus on one area, you often discover healing in other areas too. Confronting your biggest fears and insecurities can be challenging.
The age of 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 23 isn't easy. You lose friends, you make mistakes, you fall, you fail, you realize things, you hit reality, you lose yourself and you become stronger, and those are the best years of your life too. The age of 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Meditation has always been my number one practice. It has been for well over a decade. I do it every day, sometimes no more than 10 minutes, sometimes maybe closer to an hour. It doesn't matter, just a little bit each day cultivates that awareness. Meditation on its own is great. It can cultivate a lot of stillness and good vibrations and presence. But for me, the real key, the real gold in meditation is that it just creates that little bit of space between my thoughts and my beliefs, between the thinking and the listening, between the thought and the observer. That space, even if it's just a tiny millimeter of a space, allows me to look at my thoughts with a little bit more objectivity. Like, okay, I don't have to take this on as a belief. It's just a thought. It's not mine. It's got nothing to do with me. It sounds like me. It sounds like my voice. It sounds like my dad. It sounds like my mum. But it's not. Meditation.
I'm afraid to shine. I'm afraid what people say. It's all shame-based. And so this exercise that I like to do is to close your eyes and picture that there is a mirror in front of you and you're looking at yourself in the mirror. Just notice what you do. Notice what comes up. Notice if you're resistant to it, if you're excited about it, if you're confused about it, if you're frozen, if nothing happens. And then what I want you to do is bring in the face of God, source, universe, whatever you pray to. And notice the source reflection in the mirror watching you look at yourself. Does that give you more permission to shine and see yourself in God's image? Does it make you feel afraid to do that? What happens? Take it in. Then take that out and put in the face of whatever parent shamed you. And see if you feel bad for thinking good about yourself. If you feel worried that you have to line up with what they think about you. If that image changes. That's the information you need. And then go back to God. I'm afraid to shine. I'm afraid what people say. It's all shame-based. And so this exercise that I like to do is to close your eyes and picture that there is a mirror in front of you and you're looking at yourself in the mirror. Just notice what you do. Notice what comes up. Notice if you're resistant to it, if you're excited about it, if you're confused about it, if you're frozen, if nothing happens. And then what I want you to do is bring in the face of God, source, universe, whatever you pray to. And notice the source reflection in the mirror watching you look at yourself. Does that give you more permission to shine and see yourself in God's image? Does it make you feel afraid to do that? What happens? Take it in. Then take that out and put in the face of whatever parent shamed you. And see if you feel bad for thinking good about yourself. If you feel worried that you have to line up with what they think about you. If that image changes. That's the information you need. And then go back to God. I'm afraid to shine.
ये जो आप मेरे हाथ में देख रहे हैं, एक Sometimes you might feel stressed or want to go back to what feels safe and easy. During these times, be kind to yourself. Remember that you are doing valuable and brave work. Every little step you take is still a step forward. As you move forward on this journey, you may notice that your fears and insecurities start to fade away. You will begin to feel more sure of yourself, more genuine and more vibrant. You will draw in experiences and relationships that match who you really are instead of what you are afraid of. Lesson 4. Finding triggers to help you heal. In shadow work, one of the most helpful tools we have is recognizing and understanding our triggers. These emotional challenges.
I got mad at him. And I said, why is everybody so mean to me? And he said, why are you so mean to everybody? So I stormed out. And you got what I said there. I said to him, why is everybody so mean to me? And he said, why are you so mean to everybody? That was the trigger point. I was gone for years. And I wrote, I don't know. Every now and then I'd sit down at the typewriter and write him what a son of a bitch I thought he was. How when I first got to Europe, everyone thought he was a charlatan. I thought he was too. And I didn't, he was the most conceited, vain man. And I really had a great time. And you sent all these letters? Sent the letters, of course I did. And I thought, I hope he drops dead of a stroke. And I felt very good. I just felt fine. When I can get mad, I can lose 5 pounds just by getting mad. Just the adrenaline goes, and I just think, it's the opposite of poor little me. And if I don't care, let the world go and stuff it up. I don't care what happens. And one morning I woke up, and I began to laugh. I thought, for God's sake, what's been going on here? What a jackass you. And suddenly I realized, surely he really hit it. And so I phoned Miss Schmidt, Fräulein Schmidt, and asked if I could have an appointment. She laughed and said,
Now, down below there, we have the shadow, as Jung calls it. It's like the blind spot for ego. That about yourself, of which your ego is completely unconscious, of which it has no knowledge whatsoever. I've rendered it in a series of separate strokes. This shadow, in Jung's terminology, corresponds almost precisely to the Freudian unconscious. The Freudian unconscious is constituted of repressed experiences, repressed shocks that the infant, first the infant and then later the growing child has experienced. Jung's first interest in Freud was in Freud's theory of the mechanism of repression. What is it in the psyche that so puts these things out of sight that consciousness is completely unaware of them? And it is these shocks that have set up the slant, the posture, the structuring attitude of the individual to life. It's these that constitute the personal.
The perfect start to doing shadow work is this journal with trigger tracking pages, super deep journaling prompts, inner child affirmations, and even poems. I think everyone should have one. It's so beautiful. The perfect start to doing shadow.
The personal unconscious, the shocks that will have upset and transformed the life experience of one person will not be precisely the same as those that will have done so for another. And so the shadow is the order of what Jung calls the personal unconscious. On the other hand, the self is a function of the biology of the body. We have.
The shadow is the unconscious realm of the psyche that contains parts of ourselves that we repress, deny, or hide from others. It can consist of traits as well as accompanying emotions, beliefs, and desires. But like all personal qualities, there is value in the shadow. when brought into conscious awareness. Engage.
Welcome to this guided meditation for shadow work. The shadow self is the part of you that holds all the thoughts, emotions, and experiences that you've pushed aside. It includes fears, wounds, and aspects of yourself that you may not want to confront. But within the shadow lives powerful wisdom and transformative energy waiting for you to embrace it. In today's journey, we will meet your shadow self, face it with compassion, and begin the healing process. Take a deep breath in and out. Let go of any expectations and allow yourself to be open to what. Welcome, divine souls, to this inner child meditation. And I invite you to find a comfortable place where you can simply land, in a natural flow, with no force, just finding your beautiful natural rhythm of breath, allowing yourself to land within your body a little more, feeling the relaxation flood to your body as you soften into the space beneath you.
In order to experience a spiritual rebirth, we must free ourselves from self-limitations. In this meditation, you will be guided to face the unconscious aspects of yourself that need to be healed in order for you to be reborn into spiritual freedom, empowerment, and peace. Make yourself comfortable in a quiet, meditative space, and when you are ready, we will begin. In the soothing feeling of wholeness and wellness it brings. The angels gather closely, their hearts blooming open as they channel love's incredible and infinite healing intelligence. I see, understand, and accept myself with infinite compassion. The angels' arms enfold you in sweet, joyful celebration.
We think of the Jungian shadow. You know, there's this idea we all have all things inside of us, that all of us have the capacity to be evil, to be good, etc., but that some people express one or the other to a greater extent. But he also mentioned that there's a unique category of people that don't just have all things inside of them, but they actually spend a lot of time exploring the darker recesses, the shadows. You know, I'm drawn to goodness and to light and to joy and all those things like anybody else. But I recall a colleague who, it was very clear to me, did not actually care about understanding the brain, but understanding the brain was just his avenue to exercise ambition. And if you gave him something else to work on, he'd work on that. And I realized he has no passion for understanding the brain. I assumed all scientists do, but some people it's just raw ambition. It's about winning. I think The shadow parts of us are very important to come to understand. Better to understand them and know that they're there than to not acknowledge their presence and have them surface in the form of behaviors that damage us and other people.
Breathe deeply and silently affirm, I am the infinite power of love. Love is my eternal divine nature.
So the first one is the most incredible, powerful way of finding out your shadow, because most of it is unconscious, 95% is unconscious, is looking at your triggers and how you can sort of put that into action on a daily basis is creating a trigger journal. The trigger journal has helped me a lot to really fall in love with my triggers, basically, and to see them as gold. We're often scared of triggers. We want to push them down. Again, they don't fit into the perfect picture, so we learn to shove it under the rug. Whereas triggers, they show you what's inside and what wants to be, in my opinion, transformed.
The truth about meditation practice is that you won't always feel like it. Your thoughts may spiral, your body may feel uncomfortable, but you still show up and you sit, you listen, you return to presence, breathe through resistance, witness and allow as you soften into the moment, returning to the space between your thoughts. And slowly, subtly, something shifts from within. A quiet remembrance emerges. Relief and peace rises. A radiant inner light is ignited. And the gifts of meditation are revealed through your
I receive miracle after miracle with gratitude. My life is proof that miracles are real. Often not visible at first, are important for achieving deep healing and personal development. Triggers are not just annoying or uncomfortable. They help us notice the parts of ourselves that need attention and care. To start this healing journey, we need to understand that triggers don't happen by chance. They come from our past experiences, traumas, and feelings that we haven't dealt with yet. Whenever we experience a sudden rush of anger, a deep sadness, or a wave of anxiety, we have a chance to learn something valuable, a chance to explore our minds, to find the hidden hurts that we've kept inside, and to finally deal with them in a caring and understanding way. The law of attraction explains that we bring into our lives what we pay attention to, whether we realize it or not. When we have unresolved triggers, we unknowingly send out signals that attract situations and people who will bring these triggers to the surface. The universe seems to keep showing us our unresolved issues repeatedly until we notice and take action to address them. How can we start identifying and dealing with our triggers? Start by becoming aware. We need to pay close attention to our feelings, noticing the small changes in our mood, the tightness in our chest, and the clenching of our jaw. These physical feelings are usually the first signs that a trigger has been set off. When we pay attention to our bodies and learn to notice these signals, we build a base for further exploration. After we find a trigger, the next step is to look at it with curiosity instead of judgment. It's common to criticize ourselves for feeling triggered, viewing it as a weakness or flaw. This method just hides the trigger more, making the patterns we want to change even stronger. We should develop a feeling of gentle curiosity. What message is this trigger conveying to me? Which part of me needs attention and healing? As we explore this topic further, we often discover that our triggers relate to fundamental beliefs about ourselves and the world around us. A comment from a coworker might bring up feelings of not being good enough, which could come from experiences in childhood. Sometimes, when a partner asks for space, it can trigger fears of being abandoned that come from past experiences with attachment. When we look back at what triggers us, we can understand the beliefs and experiences that influence how we see the world. This process of exploring and understanding can be challenging. Facing the pain and discomfort that our triggers bring up takes bravery. By bravely confronting our fears, we start to take back our strength. Every trigger we find and address acts like a key, opening up a part of ourselves that has been stuck in cycles of reactivity and fear. As we move forward, we begin to see a change in how we relate to our triggers. What used to feel like strong emotional storms starts to lose its impact on us. We learn to stop when we feel triggered, take a breath, and decide how to respond instead of just reacting without thinking. The space we find between what happens and how we react is where we can truly be free. As we work on our triggers, we start to bring new experiences into our lives. The law of attraction helps us when we remove the energy blockages caused by our unresolved triggers. We experience better relationships, more satisfying work settings, and circumstances that help us grow instead of bringing up past hurts. This task isn't about getting rid of triggers completely. Feeling emotions in response to situations is a normal part of being human. The aim is to create a new connection with our triggers, focusing on awareness, kindness, and using them to promote growth and healing. As we move forward on this journey, we might discover that our triggers can teach us valuable lessons. Each one gives us a chance to understand ourselves better, to heal past hurts, and to become a more true and strong version of who we are. What used to feel heavy turns into a gift, a helpful guide leading us to completeness and unity. The wisdom traditions around the world have always understood how important it is to confront our darker sides for personal growth. In Jungian psychology, integrating the shadow is important for individuation, which is the path to becoming your true self. Buddhist teachings highlight the value of carefully noticing our reactions without becoming overwhelmed by them. Which fits well with the process of recognizing and healing triggers. When we work on understanding ourselves and healing, we change our own lives and help others heal too. The work we do on ourselves affects everything around us, including our relationships, our communities, and the bigger systems we live in. When we confront our own triggers and engage in healing, we can become catalysts for change in a world that truly needs more awareness and kindness. Lesson 5. Identifying patterns that hold you back. In our lives, we often walk the same paths.
Being present enabled me to basically engage with the my innermost self and navigate the complex terrain of my subconscious. Now, when we ignore our shadow, it can manifest in other ways, such as intense reactions to others or recurring patterns that would appear like self-sabotage. Now, during my meditation, my shadows would come right to me. It was just dead in center, and I could just see them. I could almost like touch it. It felt so real. And I realized that the fact that it's appearing.
The shadow questions that I would highly recommend you ask yourself and reflect on. 1. Why is success not for me? And I would challenge you to write down what comes up. Okay, a form of resistance is, I'll think about it, and it just keeps it very vague. If you write it down, it makes it real, you see it, and you have to be precise because you're putting it into words. Why is success not for me? And go past the autopilot response, it is. I know, don't ask the question, ask yourself, is there a part of me that might believe success is not for me? Number 2, why am I not good enough? Am I saying you're not good enough? Of course not. But analyze and just see what comes up. You got to open yourself up to these answers. It's identifying what is running you so you can then.
visualization, using guided meditation to visualize and converse with your shadow. Find a quiet place and close your eyes. Imagine a safe space, like a serene forest or beach, or focus on just breathing within the moment. This may feel stupid, but visualize your shadow emerging from a distance. Note its appearance and demeanor. Approach and initiate a conversation. Ask what it wants you to know. Listen, converse, and when ready, thank your shadow and end the meditation. The mirror exercise. Use your reactions to others as a mirror to understand suppressed parts of yourself. Think about a person who triggers strong negative reactions in you. List the characteristics in them that bother you the most. Reflect on each trait. Ask yourself, in what way might this trait also exist within me, even if in a subtle form? Subscribe and like to support.
Make the same mistakes and face the same challenges. These repeating patterns are not just random. They are habits that hold us back from stepping outside our comfort zones, even if those zones aren't really comfortable. Seeing these patterns is the first step to getting out of the cycle that hold us back, and it's an important part of shadow work. Our patterns are like hidden threads that are part of our everyday lives.
You're going to obviously go through certain phases of your life that are a little bit more like a delivery, where you're in labor for like a long time and it's not like you can come up for air. And though that's like really a personal rebirth. Separate from those personal rebirth experiences, the way that this is supposed to work is the better it gets, the better it gets. So like you do some of this deep digging that may not be comfortable, but that immediately translates to some different way of thinking or way of speaking or way of acting that changes your life experience for the better. So it's not like we get into the spiritual stuff and we have to clean this entire turkey pan so that it's totally clean and then we're okay to live life. That's not how it works. Your job here is never done when it comes to that 1-2 step of looking at some of these painful things, using it as contrast to decide what is wanted, and then closing the gap between where you are and what is wanted. So it should be that you do the shadow work, and so you can taste tea in a different way for the first time in your life. Or you do some of this more painful deep digging, and then you meet a person where you can actually have intimacy for the first time in a relationship.
Shadow work can bring up deep and sometimes painful emotions. So it's important to create a safe and supportive environment for yourself. Find a quiet, comfortable space where you can be alone without any distractions, and bring in some things to create the essence, the mood that you want to cultivate in yourself. If you want to light a candle or play soothing music or have like comfortable items nearby, anything to get you in the right headspace to feel deeply and open up your heart.
Affect what we choose, how we connect with others, and how we respond to everything happening around us. Sometimes, these patterns are so small that we don't see them, going through life without thinking much. These unconscious behaviors are strong influences that can either help us reach our goals or hold us back, preventing us from making progress. To start noticing these patterns, we need to develop mindfulness and self-awareness. This involves observing our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors without criticizing them. It's about looking at our own lives from the outside, like we're watching a character in a film. This separation helps us understand the overall situation and notice patterns in how we act. A good way to begin this process is by writing in a journal. Spend a few minutes each day writing about your experiences. Pay attention to what happened and how you felt and reacted. As time goes on, you may begin to see patterns. Maybe you often get defensive when getting feedback, or you regularly put off important tasks. These are the habits that are holding you back. As you start to recognize your patterns, you may see that they usually come from strong beliefs or fears you hold inside. Avoiding commitment in relationships may come from a fear of being left alone. A habit of overworking may be connected to the idea that your value depends on how much you produce. Knowing why we have certain patterns is important for changing them. Tackle this process with kindness and an open mind instead of judgment. These patterns took time to form. They are usually coping strategies we've built over many years or even decades. They had a role at one time, even if they don't have one for us now. Recognizing this can help us face change with compassion instead of criticism. As you recognize your patterns, you might begin to see triggers, certain situations or things that activate these patterns. A specific tone of voice might make you think of a critical parent, causing you to feel defensive. A deadline might trigger feelings of self-doubt and cause you to put things off. Noticing these triggers allows you to stop and pick a different reaction. The law of attraction shows us that we draw in what we pay attention to. If we keep thinking about what we can't do and our mistakes, we'll keep bringing in situations that support those thoughts. When we notice our patterns, we can begin to change our focus to growth and new opportunities. We can start to see new ways of living and acting, bringing in experiences that match our real wishes and abilities. A helpful way to change your habits is to picture your ideal self, the person you aspire to be, unburdened by your current behaviors. How would your ideal self handle situations that usually bring out your old habits? What new actions would they show? Imagine your ideal self and behave as if you are already that person. This can help you develop new, positive habits. Know that patterns often appear in connected networks. Changing one pattern could show or influence other patterns. As you focus on people pleasing, you may find that you also tend to avoid conflict. This connection is why shadow work is a continuous journey. As we uncover one layer, we frequently find more underneath. The aim isn't to get rid of all patterns. Some patterns can be beneficial and help us positively. The goal is to identify the patterns that limit us and to intentionally select new, more positive ways of living. This process of recognizing and making conscious choices is central to personal growth and change. As you get better at noticing your patterns, you will probably feel more in control. You will notice that you are not stuck with your habits and reactions. You can choose to act differently. Understanding this can feel freeing yet daunting, as it means that the power to change is entirely up to you. Take your time and be kind to yourself as you go through this process. Change takes time, and you might occasionally fall back into your old habits. This is normal and doesn't take away from the progress you've made. Whenever you notice a pattern in what you do, it's a chance to choose differently, even if you don't always get it right. As you begin to notice and change your habits, you might see changes in your relationships too. Some people in your life may not be open to your changes because your new behaviors alter the usual patterns of your relationships. This might be tough, but it's also a chance to grow and build relationships that help you as you change. Lesson 6. Understanding your shadow. Inside us, there is a hidden part that we have often ignored, denied, or forgotten. This realm is like our shadow. Instead of being our enemy, it actually contains the key to our greatest potential and deepest healing. As we go through life, we tend to show a version of ourselves that we think others will find acceptable, lovable, or admirable. However, in this process, we unintentionally overlook important parts of who we really are, pushing them into the background of our minds. The shadow isn't automatically dark or bad. It just holds everything we consider unworthy of the light. It contains our fears, insecurities, and perceived flaws, but it also keeps our untapped strengths, hidden talents, and unrealized dreams. When we accept our shadow, we start an important journey of understanding ourselves and bringing everything together, which can change many parts of our lives. Embracing your shadow means recognizing that it is a key part of your identity. It's understanding that the parts of yourself you've wanted to hide or change are not different from you. They are all part of the complete picture of who you are. Accepting this is the first step to loving yourself and gaining personal strength. When we push away our shadow, we use a lot of energy to keep it away. This resistance causes inner struggle, taking away our energy and preventing the abundance from flowing in our lives. When we look at our shadow with curiosity and kindness, we release this energy, helping us grow and achieve our goals. The law of attraction shows that we draw in what we are, not only what we desire. When we accept our shadow, we become more complete, genuine, and in tune with who we really are. This alignment sends a strong message to the universe, drawing in experiences and opportunities that match our true selves, instead of the image we try to present. Accepting your shadow doesn't mean engaging in bad habits or dwelling on past pain. It's about becoming aware of these hidden parts of yourself, knowing where they come from, and bringing them into your conscious mind. It's a change where something that used to be a problem turns into a source of strength and knowledge. Think about the hidden side of anger. Many people learn that anger is bad or harmful, so they suppress it, ignore it, or attempt to get rid of it. Anger, when recognized and directed properly, can be a strong tool for making changes and establishing boundaries. When we accept this part of ourselves, we take back our ability to stand up for ourselves and advocate for our beliefs. Consider the aspect of being vulnerable. In a world that values strength and toughness, we might conceal our gentler sides, viewing them as flaws. When we accept our vulnerability, we allow ourselves to form deeper connections, show more empathy, and build more genuine relationships. A flaw can turn into a way to connect and understand each other better. Facing your shadow takes bravery and kindness. It encourages you to face parts of yourself that you might have been avoiding for a long time. By doing this, you'll find that these aspects are not as scary or complicated as you thought. What we often see in the shadow are just hurt parts of ourselves, waiting to be recognized, healed, and brought together. When you start to accept your shadow, you might notice changes in your relationships. When we embrace every part of who we are, we become more open to accepting others. We know that everyone has a shadow, and this helps us feel for each other and strengthens our bonds. As we accept our hidden sides, we are less likely to blame others for our own traits, which helps us have clearer and more genuine interactions. In personal growth and manifestation, accepting your shadow can really make a difference. Many people find it hard to reach their goals or make their wishes come true because they might be unknowingly holding themselves back with hidden beliefs or actions. By recognizing these issues, we can tackle the main reasons for our self-sabotage and make sure our actions match what we really want. The shadow can be a source of our strongest creativity and passion. When we hold back parts of ourselves, we also hold back our special gifts and talents. When you accept your shadow, you might discover skills or interests you didn't realize you had, leading to new ways to express yourself and find satisfaction. Accepting your shadow is something you do continuously, not just once. It's a process of learning about yourself that goes on for your whole life. As you change and develop, new parts of your shadow might become visible, providing new chances for integration and growth. Start by being curious to embrace your shadow. Rather than judging or attempting to change the aspects of yourself that you find unacceptable, try to look at them with an open mind. Consider what these aspects could be communicating to you. What needs or worries are they sharing? What knowledge could they possess? Be kind to yourself as you look into your shadow. Be as kind and understanding to yourself as you would be to a close friend. Understand that every part of you, including those hidden away, formed to help or protect you. Appreciate their efforts while you find better ways to include them. When you accept your shadow, you might notice that old habits start to change. Relationships that used to feel stuck might start to move more easily. Goals that once felt impossible might now seem within reach. You can now use the energy you use to spend on inner conflict to build the life you want. Embracing your shadow means reconnecting with who you truly are. You are fully yourself, just as you should be. Your shadow is not against you. It's an important part of who you are, ready to be recognized and accepted. When you accept all parts of yourself, you will feel a calm and genuine energy that comes from inside you. This will draw in experiences and relationships that match who you really are. Take a deep breath, find your courage, and face your shadow with acceptance. It is essential for your healing, your potential, and living your true life. Accept it and see how your world changes little by little. Lesson 7. Healing past hurts by recognizing hidden feelings. Inside us, we hold wounds that have influenced us in ways we might not completely understand. The hidden scars from our past experiences shape our thoughts, feelings, and actions, even after we may have forgotten the original pain. Shadow work helps us face our past wounds. It's not about feeling the pain again, but about recognizing and healing the hidden emotions that have been influencing our lives without us realizing it. Healing starts when we acknowledge what needs attention. We need to recognize the wounds we have, some of which might have been with us for so long that we no longer remember they are there. These wounds often show up as patterns in our lives, like ongoing relationship issues, constant feelings of not being good enough, or a strange sense of being prevented from reaching our true potential. By looking closely at these patterns, we can begin to follow them back to where they started, to the times when these hurts first happened. As we explore our inner selves, we might come across feelings that we've kept hidden or ignored for a long time. Anger, fear, shame, and grief are strong emotions that can feel intense when they first come to light. It's normal to want to look away and hide these feelings back in the shadows where they've been for a long time. By doing this, we miss out on the chance for real healing and growth. The law of attraction tells us that what we try to avoid tends to stick around, and this is also true for our buried feelings. When we recognize and accept these feelings, we start to reduce their hold on our subconscious mind. Acknowledgement is a powerful way to heal. By bringing attention to our hidden emotions, we acknowledge our experiences and respect the parts of ourselves that have been quietly bearing these burdens. This validation is an important part of healing. It helps us shift from denial or resistance to acceptance and compassion. When we recognize these hidden feelings, we might discover that they are connected to the beliefs we have about ourselves and our surroundings. These beliefs, which often come from times of pain or weakness, can hold us back and keep us stuck in patterns of self-destruction. By looking at these beliefs with what we know now, we can start to question and change them. This process of asking questions and changing our perspective is not about ignoring our past experiences, but about deciding how we understand and incorporate them into our current lives. Healing old wounds through shadow work can be challenging and uncomfortable at times. It takes bravery to confront the parts of ourselves that we have avoided or turned away from for a long time. It is by facing our challenges that we discover real freedom. When we express our hidden emotions, we free the energy that was trapped by keeping them inside. This new energy is now available to us, helping us grow and change. Forgiveness is an important part of healing. This means not just forgiving those who have hurt us, but also forgiving ourselves. Forgiving ourselves can be really tough. It's about facing how we've caused our own pain by judging and criticizing ourselves. When we practice self-compassion and understanding, we create a supportive inner space where our wounds can start to heal. While we work on healing, we might see changes in our outside world too. The law of attraction shows us that what we feel inside is mirrored in what happens around us. When we work on healing our inner wounds and let go of old habits, we might notice that our relationships get better, new chances come our way, and problems we've faced for a long time start to fade away. This isn't magic. It's simply the outcome of bringing our conscious and unconscious minds together, helping us live more authentically and with greater strength. The wisdom traditions around the world have always understood how important it is to recognize and accept our shadow sides. By doing this, we take back parts of ourselves that we have ignored, tapping into a source of creativity, strength, and resilience that we might not have realized we had. This integration creates a feeling of completeness and harmony as we stop wasting energy battling with ourselves. As we move forward in healing and coming together, it's key to this is a continuous journey. Our shadows are not things to fight against or get rid of, but parts of ourselves that we should keep exploring and understanding. When we recognize and address a hidden emotion, we make more room inside ourselves for love, joy, and happiness. Working on your inner self and healing past hurts is really about finding out who you are and learning to love yourself. By confronting our deepest pains and fears, we discover our greatest strengths and potentials. By recognizing and addressing our hidden emotions, we can break free from the patterns that limit us, allowing for new opportunities and a more genuine expression of our true selves. By going through this process, we help ourselves heal and also support the healing of everyone around us. The work we do on ourselves affects the world around us, shaping how we connect with others and build relationships. When we become more complete and united, we naturally motivate and help others in their healing and growth journeys. Recognizing hidden feelings and healing past hurts can be challenging, but it brings great rewards. This journey helps you understand yourself better, build stronger relationships, and live a more satisfying life. As you move forward on this journey, each step you take towards healing brings you closer to your true, empowered self. Believe in the journey, be kind to yourself as you go, and understand that within your challenges is the secret to your biggest change. Lesson 8. Understanding self-compassion in shadow work. Inside ourselves, where hidden feelings and parts of us exist, there is a strong tool for change: self-compassion. As we start the process of shadow work, we often come across parts of ourselves that we've ignored, feared, or avoided for a long time. These hidden parts of our mind can be scary and hard to confront. In these challenging moments, self-compassion is our best support. Self-compassion is different from feeling sorry for yourself, and it's not about giving in to every desire. It's a kind gesture towards ourselves, acknowledging that we deserve love and understanding, even when times are tough. When we look at our shadow with kindness, we make a safe place for understanding and healing. We recognize that our flaws, fears, and what we see as shortcomings do not make us unworthy. They are simply part of being human. The law of attraction shows us that we draw in what we concentrate on, what we believe in, and what we experience emotionally. When we practice self-compassion during our shadow work, we change our inner talk from being critical to being kind and understanding. This change in energy spreads out, bringing more kindness, understanding, and healing into our lives. Think about the parts of yourself that you've kept hidden. It might be anger that you think is wrong, desire that you see as embarrassing, or vulnerability that you view as a flaw. Now, think about looking at these parts of yourself not with judgment, but with the same kindness you would show to a close friend who is hurting. This is the core idea of being kind to yourself during shadow work. When we explore our inner selves, we often find old wounds from our past, experiences that have influenced how we see ourselves and the world around us. These wounds can be sensitive when touched, bringing up feelings of shame, guilt, or unworthiness. In these moments, self-compassion is not just helpful, it is necessary. When we show kindness to our hurt parts, we set the stage for real healing to happen. Carl Jung, a philosopher, created the term shadow and recognized how important it is to bring together all parts of ourselves. He understood that our shadow holds both the negative traits we see in ourselves and the potential we have not yet realized. When we look at our shadow with kindness, we allow ourselves to take back this.
Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale softly through your mouth. Let yourself settle into this moment. Let the outside world begin to fade. Allow your body to relax. The walls are dim, calm, and neutral. There is no noise, only stillness. What does this version of you look like? How do they stand? What emotion is on their face? You are safe to observe. I see you. I honor your place in me. You no longer have to carry this alone. Now watch as the reflection begins to merge with your own. Your light and your shadow come together. Integrated. Unified. Feel a warmth in your chest. This is wholeness. Not perfection, but presence.
Take a moment to put your own into the ground.
fears take over. Fear takes over. Our deepest fears come out. Hello, beautiful soul.
Potential and become more complete and true versions of who we are. When you do shadow work, self-compassion can be practiced like this. When you find a belief or behavior you've been avoiding, take a moment to stop. Breathe in deeply. Put your hand on your heart if it feels good. Recognize the discomfort or pain you are experiencing. Next, talk to yourself like you would to someone you care about deeply, like a child or a close friend. It's all right. This is tough, but what you're doing matters. You deserve love and understanding, even with this part of you. This act of being kind to yourself does something amazing. It helps us feel safe inside, letting us look at our shadow without being afraid of rejecting ourselves. From this safe space, we can start to learn about where our shadow aspects come from, see how they've helped us before, and think about how we can bring them into our lives in a healthier way as we move ahead. Self-compassion plays a crucial role in shadow work and goes beyond just helping ourselves heal. When we accept every part of ourselves with kindness, we naturally share that same compassion with others. We understand that just like we have our own shadows, the people around us have theirs too. When we understand each other better, it helps us feel more. Hello, I'm Louise. Welcome to my personal power through love that child. Then move forward in time to your first day at school. You didn't want to leave your mother, and you knew you had to go, and you didn't want to leave your mother. And you went. You took your first steps over the threshold. You were scared, but you did it. You were doing the very best you could. And love that child. Love that child. Then remember your life around the age of 10 and all the stuff that was going on then. It may have been wonderful. It may have been difficult. And you were doing the very best you could to survive. And you made it. So love that child. Just love that child. Then go to the time you were just entering puberty and all that was going on. It was exciting and scary and maybe more than you could handle. But you got through it. You did the best you could and you made it. So love that teenager. Love that teenager. Go to the time of your first job and how exciting it was to earn money. You wanted so badly to make a good impression, and there was so much to learn. And you did the best you could. And love that person. Just love that person. Remember the time you were first rejected in love and how much your heart hurt and you wanted to die and then you were afraid you wouldn't and you knew that no one would ever love you again. You were in such pain and you did the best you could and you made it. Love that person. Love that person. Then go to another milestone in your life. It may have been embarrassing, or painful, or wonderful. Whatever it was,
You were doing the best you could at that time with the understanding, knowledge, and awareness that you had then. So love that person. Love that person. Now gather all the many parts of yourself and bring all of them forward in time to present time. See yourself standing in front of the mirror with all of your selves and realize that you are looking at the richness and fullness of your life. Of course, there were difficult times and painful times and embarrassing times and times of confusion, and that's all right. It's part of life. Love all of yourself. Now all of you turn around, and as you look ahead, you see a person standing before you with arms outstretched, saying, I am your future, and I have come to love you. When it feels right, come back to the room. Life is an endless opportunity to love ourselves, past, present, and in the future. Loving and accepting every part of ourselves is healing. How can we possibly be whole or healed if we are rejecting any parts of ourselves? Healing is to make ourselves whole again. Love yourself, every part of yourself, and be whole. All is well. And so it is. We hear over and over again how important it is to love ourselves. We are aware that love is the most powerful healing force there is. And yet, no matter how hard we try to love ourselves, many of us keep hitting a brick wall. Something is in the way. It seems impossible for us to break through. We begin to believe that we just can't love who we are, that there must be something wrong with us, or perhaps we are not worth loving. This frustration and anger at our own inability to do what we know is so important to us leads to depression. We feel hopeless. And yet there is an answer. There is something we can do to open the most stubborn doorway to love. We can forgive. Forgiveness opens the doorway to love, so that love may flow most abundantly in our life. I have noticed that when the door to love seems to be stuck, it is usually because there is someone or something that we are unwilling to forgive. Yes, it may be true that we have had a very unpleasant experience in our past. That is unfortunate. However, it is not unforgivable. Forgiveness is a gift to ourselves, for it sets us free. When we refuse to forgive, we sit in a prison of self-righteous resentment and stay stuck in the past. This hurts only ourselves. The other person may not even know we are in pain. I know that you can heal your heart now and that you are worth loving. Here is something we can do to change things. Let's take a little journey to clean out the pockets of bitterness that may still reside in you. Close your eyes. And let's walk down into a valley. Going down is always symbolic of going into your subconscious mind to do clearing work. As you descend into this valley, you notice with delight how very beautiful it is. Lush and green, flowers everywhere, birds and butterflies, trees and a gentle stream. Find a comfortable place to sit on the bank of this stream. Settle down and just relax. It is so peaceful and safe here. It's a wonderful place for letting go, for forgiving. Ask yourself, what is the hardest thing to forgive? Remember the pain that incident caused you. Where are you carrying it in your body? How long have you been carrying that pain? In this very safe place, allow yourself to take the pain out of your body and hold it in your hands. Look at it from every angle. How big is it? What color is it? Does it have a sound? A smell? A taste? Do you really want to keep it any longer? Are you willing to let it go now? Gently place it in the stream. Watch the current dissolve it and take it away. All that hurt and suffering is being dispersed, made harmless as it drifts away. Feel the water flowing against your hand, washing it clean. Notice how glad you are to have released that old junk. Now take another incident. Really relive it. Feel the pain and hurt. Take a breath and step back in your mind and look at the incident from the other person's point of view. Does it look the same from that angle? Now take another breath and look at the same situation from an observer's point of view. someone who is watching both of you and is totally objective. Is that also another point of view? Every time you look at the experience from a different angle, you get a different reaction. Who is right and who is wrong? Is anyone really right or wrong? Now take that whole incident involving the other party, you, the incident, and the observer, and let them all gently submerge into the stream, dissolving and disappearing. Let it go. Let it go until it is gone from sight and from your emotional grasp. Give yourself a moment of peace on the bank of the river. Lay back against the grass and breathe. Who is the hardest person to forgive? And why? If you really wanted to forgive this person, you know you could. What is it you want to hold on to? Would you rather be right, or would you rather be happy? Perhaps you have held this pain long enough, and now it is safe enough for you to let it go. What would you be willing to give in return for releasing this negativity? Could you give understanding for abandonment? Could you now give compassion for the old abuse and betrayal? Could you give acceptance for rejection? Could you just forgive and let go? Are you willing to change your old beliefs of I am worth abusing to I am worth cherishing? How willing are you to give up these old ideas for a new freedom that forgiveness can bring you? Once again, just release all of this pain. Drop all of this bitterness into the river. Let the person go. Release them. Set them free. Say to them, I forgive you. I forgive you for not being the way I wanted you to be. I forgive you and I set you free. Let the whole experience go. Wash yourself free of every vestige of the past. See blocks and barriers drifting down the stream. Watch them go. They have no part of you anymore. You are cleansed and you are free. Now go through your mind and find any other places where unforgiveness resides. Take each incident or person and hold them in your hands and look at them and decide if you are willing to be totally free now. I forgive you and I set you free. I forgive you and I set myself free. Now place each one in the river and see them dissolve as they drift downstream. Let them go. Let it all go. Forgive and release the whole world. Now step into the stream yourself. Let yourself be totally immersed for an instant. Then stand up in the water and declare for yourself, I am forgiven. I am forgiven and I am free. Your mind, your heart, your whole body is being cleansed of all negative debris. The weight has been taken away. You can see it floating downstream, never to return. What a relief. What a joy. As you come back up the bank, notice how light and free you feel. The sunshine looks brighter and dries you instantly. The colors and the sounds are more vivid. The world is more beautiful, and you know you are entitled to miracles. What miracle would you like now? See it clearly in your mind. Something wonderful you would like to have happen in your life. Know that it is possible. As you walk up out of the valley, having left the old patterns behind, feel the space opening in your heart. Feel the love beginning to flow. There is nothing to stop it now. You feel so peaceful, so relaxed, so alive, so willing to love, so very free. You have forgiven. You have been forgiven. Life looks good, and you know that all is well in your world. And so it is. Let's talk about forgiveness. You can never be free of bitterness as long as you continue to think unforgiving thoughts. How can you be happy in this moment if you continue to choose to think angry and resentful thoughts? Thoughts of bitterness cannot create joy. No matter how justified you feel you are, No matter what they did, if you insist on holding on to the past, then you will never be free. Forgiveness of yourself and of others will release you from the prison of the past. When you feel that you are stuck in some situation, or when your affirmations are not working, it usually means there is some more forgiving to be done. When you do not flow freely with life in the present moment, it usually means you are holding on to a past moment. It can be regret, sadness, hurt, fear, or guilt, blame, anger, resentment, and sometimes a desire for revenge. Each one of these states comes from a space of unforgiveness, a refusal to let go and to come into the present moment. Only in the present moment can you create your future. If you are holding on to the past, you cannot be in the present. It is only in this now moment that your thoughts and words are powerful. So you really don't want to waste your current thoughts to continue to create your future from the garbage of the past. When you blame another, you give your own power away because you are placing the responsibility for your feelings on someone else. People in our lives may behave in ways that trigger uncomfortable responses in us. However, they did not get into our minds and create the buttons that have been pushed. Taking responsibility for our own feelings and reactions is mastering our ability to respond. In other words, we learn to consciously choose rather than simply react. Forgiveness is a tricky and confusing concept for many people. There is a difference between forgiveness and acceptance. Forgiving someone does not mean that you condone their behavior. And the act of forgiveness takes place in your own mind. It really has nothing to do with the other person. The reality of true forgiveness lies in setting ourselves free from holding on to the pain. It is simply an act of releasing yourself from the negative energy. Also, forgiveness does not mean allowing the painful behaviors or actions of another to continue in your life. Sometimes forgiveness means letting go. You forgive them and release them. Taking a stand and setting healthy boundaries is often the most loving thing you can do, not only for yourself, but for the other person as well. No matter what your reasons are for having bitter, unforgiving feelings, you can go beyond them. You can get off it. You can let it go. You only live in the now, and you can choose to think thoughts that make you feel good right now. You can choose to practice thinking thoughts that create a positive today and tomorrow. Know that you are creating thinking habits that will serve you well forever. Positive affirmations for achieving forgiveness. The door to my heart opens inwards. I move through forgiveness to love. As I change my thoughts, the world around me changes. The past is over, so it has no power now. The thoughts of this moment create my future. It is no fun being a victim. I refuse to be helpless anymore. I claim my own power. I give myself the gift of freedom from the past and move with joy into the now. There is no problem too big or too small that it cannot be solved with love. I am ready to be healed. I am willing to forgive, and all is well. I know that old negative patterns no longer limit me. I let them go with ease. As I forgive myself, it becomes easier to forgive others. I forgive myself for not being perfect. I am living the very best way I know how. It is now safe for me to release all of my childhood traumas and move into love. I forgive everyone in my past for all perceived wrongs. I release them with love. All of the changes in life that lie before me are positive ones, and I am safe. You have a choice. You can choose to stay stuck and bitter, or you can do yourself a favor by willingly forgiving the past and let it go, and then move on to create a joyous, fulfilling life. You have the freedom to make your life anything you want it to be because you have freedom of choice.
For some reason, it has just come into my mind, perhaps because somebody desperately needs the answer to this, and it's connected to what we've been saying. You are now, compared to years ago, you are now definitely more conscious than you were before. And it could be that in the past, when you were not conscious, you did things that you now recognize as not right, or you inflicted suffering on another being or other beings, and you can now see it. At the time you didn't know what you were doing because you are not conscious enough to act differently. Now, the fact that a person feels guilty means he or she can see something now that he or she could not see then. If you were still in the same consciousness, then you wouldn't be able to see that that was wrong. You'd say, you did the right thing by whatever, killing that person. I did the right thing. But now you see, you have awakened, and then you can see a lot of your past as dysfunctional, unconscious action, inflicting suffering on yourself and others. Virtually every unconscious human inflicts suffering both on themselves without knowing it and others. They create their own misery and they make others miserable. That's what unconscious humans do. And some to a greater degree than others. So guilt can come up as you awaken and suddenly see how unconscious you were. That can bring up guilt and say, because the guilt says, I did that. The guilt uses the word I. But what does that mean? What does that mean when you say I? What is that I? Who is I? Is I the conditioning of your mental emotional conditioning? Or does I have a deeper meaning? Who is I? When you think that your mental emotional conditioning is I, then you are deluded. Your mental conditioning is not I, it is the mental emotional conditioning in you. It is a false identity. There is no real I there. The only true I is the I am. It's you. The essence of who you are is consciousness. That is the I. I am that I am. That's even how God describes himself when this is probably one of the most profoundest lines in the Bible. Somebody asks God, who are you? Or what's your name? I am that I am. Because your deepest I am is the I am of the universe. It's not personal. Your deepest identity is the identity of God and of the universe. This is the I. That's the only true I. So when you confuse the unconsciousness of your past, which was only conditioning, which was a reflection of where humanity is at its present evolutionary stage, you reflected where humanity is in its present evolutionary stage. That's all. You were a reflection of the evolving or the unevolved as yet unevolved human consciousness. That's all. There is no I in there. It's not that I did that. The unconsciousness, human unconsciousness did that. If you construct an I out of human unconsciousness that you represented, that is an ego attempt to manufacture another mind-made identity for yourself, because the ego loves to have a conceptual identity. The ego is conceptual identity in the head. That's me. And the ego doesn't mind even if it's a very unhappy conceptual identity. It prefers that to having no conceptual identity because that's its end. So the ego will cling to the guilt and associate unconscious action in the past with identity, my identity. And that's how the ego can survive for years, and it can torture you for years saying, I did that. And it's a terrible feeling that you did that. You can now see it as so wrong, that was so wrong. But it's ultimately a delusion. Find the true I, and then that will free you of that, and then you will naturally forgive yourself without needing to take an action and say, I must forgive myself. That doesn't really work. In the same way that it does, this can also be applied to other humans. You can also do that to other humans. What you do to yourself when you see what they did, and you can manufacture an identity out of their unconscious action also, and then say, this is who they are, this is who he is, who she is. It's unconsciousness playing itself out, human unconsciousness. There is no ultimate identity there. But the mind likes to manufacture a conceptual identity, not only for yourself, but also for others. So the mind loves to get in there and say, these are those evil ones, and sometimes you do it to a whole group of people. Those millions of this particular group of people, no matter what they are, this is what they are, and this is what they did, and that is who they are. No, it's human unconsciousness, that's all. So, very careful, the same process, and then you cannot forgive them because you've made an identity for them out of their unconsciousness and say they are their unconsciousness. And then forgiveness will be very hard. Okay, I have to try to forgive because I'm supposed to do that. I have to forgive them for what they did. They just terrible things, but I have to forgive them. Okay, I forgive you. It's not easy. Yes. The real forgiveness happens when you realize that ultimately there's nothing to forgive. And that's true forgiveness. There's nothing to forgive. And forgiveness happens naturally in this way, not as a conscious thing that you do, but a thing that happens by itself. It falls away. The false identity that you inflicted on yourself or another human being or a group of human beings, that false conceptual identity falls away. And that is an essential part of being here as a conscious human being. A conscious human being does not have resentments anymore, because what could you resent? It's only if you manufacture pseudo-identity, then there's resentment. So all those things they fall away. And there's the flowering of consciousness.